I think it's Deshaun Watson, and I don't think it's even close. I think, you know what's amazing? When you look at Deshaun Watson, he seems like he's like a 10th year senior in college.
Yeah.
This dude's only 30 years old. I think Todd Monken is a football savant. He's an offensive guru. I think he figures out how to take advantage and go back to those Bill O'Brien type offense, play action, throw the ball down the field. I said it. Don't look at me like that, Luke.
We just don't know. We don't know what Deshaun Watson is at this point.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Every single person in the AFC North exhaled when Cleveland traded Myles Garrett, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, the man who just shattered the all-time single-season sack record with 23. Gone, shipped to Los Angeles like yesterday's newspaper, and the entire football world did exactly what you would expect. They laughed. They wrote the obituary. They moved on. But here is what nobody is talking about, and I mean nobody. While Baltimore just fired the only head coach most of their fans have ever known, while Cincinnati is holding its breath praying Joe Burrow's body survives another 17 games, while Pittsburgh is rolling out a 42-year-old quarterback on a farewell tour with a retirement cake already in the oven, while all of that is happening, something is building in Cleveland that should genuinely terrify every single team in this division. And the wildest part is not even about what they lost. It is about what they gained and who is about to take the keys to the entire operation. A quarterback that 32 teams disrespected on national television. A coach who spent years inside this division learning every single weakness. And a roster that looks absolutely nothing like the disaster everyone remembers. Now, before we get into this, drop a football emoji in the comments right now if your team has already written off the Browns this season. I want to see how many of you are about to change your mind by the end of this video. Because what I am about to break down is going to make you uncomfortable if you cheer for Baltimore, Cincinnati, or Pittsburgh.
Monken is a football savant. He's an offensive guru. I think he figures out how to take advantage and go back to those Bill O'Brien type offenses, play action, throw the ball down the field. I said it. Don't look at me like that, Luke.
We just don't know. We don't know what Deshaun Watson is at this point. Look, I think it should be whoever actually emerges and really wins this job. Shedeur Sanders has to be right in there. Shedeur Sanders has to be right in there. And let me just remember this name. Remember the name Taylor Green. We've talked about him a lot, Greeny. We talked about him on the Death at the Draft. I know he's only a 6th-round pick, and he's a guy who's a developmental project. Todd Monken has worked with guys like this. You can't have this guy just sit on the bench. He's too big, too fast, too explosive. I think this competition is wide open.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Let me be straight with you, because if we are going to talk about why Cleveland might flip this division upside down, we have to start with the ugly truth first. Pretending last season did not happen would be an insult to your intelligence, and honestly it would make everything that comes next less impressive. The 2025 Cleveland Browns were a disaster. 5 wins, 17 losses, dead last in the AFC North for the 2nd time in 3 seasons, and their offense was not just bad. It was the kind of bad that makes you wonder if someone was actively trying to lose football games. 2nd lowest efficiency per play in the entire league, 2nd fewest passing yards, 5th fewest rushing yards. If you fed those numbers into a computer and asked it to design the worst possible offense in professional football, it would spit back something that looks exactly like what Cleveland ran last year. The coaching situation made it worse. Kevin Stefanski, the guy who won multiple Coach of the Year awards while running this team, packed his bags and left for Atlanta. Say what you want about his tenure, but that man brought credibility to a franchise that had been a punchline for decades. When he walked out, a lot of people assumed whatever was left would collapse completely. And if you are watching this on Gridiron ground for the first time, this is exactly the kind of story we live for around here. The moments when everybody counts a team out, and then the facts start telling a completely different story. So if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time, because this is about to get wild, and you are going to want to be here when the season proves us right or wrong. Then came the trade that made national news for all the wrong reasons. Myles Garrett, the most dominant defensive force on the planet. A man who had just broken records that people thought would stand for another decade. Cleveland picked up the phone and sent him to the Rams. On the surface, it looked like the final nail. The franchise waving a white flag so big you could see it from space. Every talking head in the country said the same thing. The Browns quit. They are tearing it down. There is nothing left to talk about. And that narrative spread so fast and so far that almost nobody stopped to ask one very important question. What exactly did Cleveland get back in that deal? Because the answer to that question changes absolutely everything about how you should view this team heading into the fall. But what came back to Cleveland in that trade is the part the media conveniently forgot to mention. Here is where the story starts to turn, because the way that Myles Garrett trade was covered versus what actually happened are two completely different realities. Every highlight show ran the same segment. Superstar leaves Cleveland. Browns are done. Move along. But not a single one of those segments spent more than 10 seconds on the return package. And that return package is the reason front offices around the division stopped laughing and started making phone calls. Cleveland did not trade Myles Garrett for a bag of used footballs and a future 7th rounder. They brought back Shedeur Sanders. Read that name again because it matters. Shedeur Sanders is one of the most explosive young edge rushers in the entire NFL. A former top defensive rookie of the year candidate who is years younger than Garrett. Years. He is entering his athletic prime while Garrett was heading toward his 30s on a massive contract. And Verse does not come with a monster salary attached. He is locked in on a rookie-scale deal, which means Cleveland gets elite-level pass rushing production at a fraction of the cost. That is not a downgrade. That is a position swap with a built-in financial advantage that lets you spend everywhere else on the roster. On top of Verse, they got a war chest of future draft picks. High-value selections that give the front office ammunition to either build through the draft or make aggressive moves when the right player becomes available. So let me reframe this for you because it is important. Cleveland did not gut its roster and walk away with nothing. They swapped a 30-year-old superstar on an expiring timeline for a younger, more affordable version of the same position, plus the draft capital to keep building. That is not a team waving a white flag. That is a team playing chess, while the rest of the division is playing checkers. And the people who actually study roster construction for a living recognized it immediately. The ones who build teams for a living looked at that trade and saw exactly what Cleveland was doing. They were compressing their rebuild timeline. Instead of being bad for 3 or 4 years, they loaded up on young talent and picks to try to compete right now while simultaneously building for the long term. It is one of the hardest things to pull off in professional sports, but when it works, it creates a window that stays open for years instead of months. The real question was never about the defense. Everybody knew Cleveland could figure that side out eventually. The real question was always about the man taking the snaps. And that quarterback situation is where things get genuinely fascinating. This is the part of the story that makes my head spin every time I think about it. In 2025, the Cleveland Browns became the first team in the history of the National Football League to roster 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks in the same season. Let that sink in for a second. 2 Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks in the same building wearing the same colors at the same time. One of them was Joe Flacco, the veteran who got traded to Cincinnati midseason and kept dealing. The other was a 5th-round rookie named Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick, made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. The entire league passed on this kid 143 times on draft night. 32 teams looked at him and said no thank you. Some said it twice. Some said it 3 times. And then he went out and earned an honor that most first-round picks spend their entire careers chasing and never get. If you are keeping score at home on Gridiron ground, and I know you are because this is a community that actually pays attention, that is one of the most remarkable stories in recent NFL history, and it barely got the coverage it deserved. Every time I break down a situation like this, I am reminded why I built this channel in the first place. To find the stories that everyone else is sleeping on and bring them straight to you. If that is the kind of content you want in your feed, then smash that subscribe button right now, because we are just getting started today and the season has not even kicked off yet. Now the other side of that quarterback room is Deshaun Watson. And I want to be completely fair here, because the man has talent, real talent. When healthy, Watson has shown the ability to make throws that maybe 5 people on the planet can make. The problem is that word, healthy. Watson is coming back from a torn Achilles. Not just any torn Achilles, but a catastrophic one that kept him out for an extended period. Before that, he missed significant time with other injuries. Before that, he missed entire seasons for reasons that had nothing to do with football at all. Add it all up, and you are looking at a quarterback who has not put together a full, clean, dominant season in years. He is 30 years old, and that should be his prime, but his body has taken the kind of punishment that ages you faster than the calendar does. Rumors suggest that internally the coaching staff is genuinely torn. Reports claim that Watson looked good in early workouts, but that Shedeur looked better. It has been said that there is a real divide in the building about which direction to go. And Todd Monken, the new head coach, has handled it perfectly so far. He has called it a legitimate competition between 2 starting caliber quarterbacks and refused to tip his hand publicly. But the math does not lie, and that math is about to create a decision that reshapes the entire division. Todd Monken is not some random coordinator who fell into a head coaching job. This is a man who spent years as the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He sat inside the AFC North and studied every defense, every tendency, every weakness in this division from the inside. He knows how Baltimore likes to disguise coverages. He knows where Cincinnati gets exposed on the back end. He knows how Pittsburgh's aging defense loses a step in the fourth quarter of physical games. And now he is building an offense in Cleveland designed to attack every single one of those vulnerabilities. National analysts are not being subtle about what they think is going to happen. Bleacher Report published a bold prediction.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
That flat out said it would be, quote, impossible to keep Shedeur Sanders off the field in 2026. They said he has the tools to become something special in this league, and that trying to revive the veteran's career after so many lost years would be fighting against reality. That is not some fan blog talking. That is one of the biggest sports media outlets in the country looking at the film and the trajectory and drawing a very clear conclusion. And here is the part that adds gasoline to the entire situation. Shedeur Sanders was humiliated on draft night. National television showed his face as team after team passed on him. Analysts questioned his arm strength. Scouts questioned his ability to read defenses. The whole world watched him slide and slide and slide until Cleveland finally took a chance in the 5th round. That kind of humiliation does something to a competitor. It either breaks you completely or it lights a fire that burns so hot it never goes out. Everything we have seen from Shedeur suggests he is the second type. Every interview, every practice clip, every interaction with teammates. This is a young man who carries every single doubt, every single slight, every single passed-over moment with him onto the field like a weapon. He does not forget. He does not forgive. He collects receipts, and he cashes them in on Sundays. Now combine that mentality with a coach who knows the division inside and out, and an offense being built specifically around his skill set. That is not a situation that should make rival teams comfortable. That is a situation that should keep defensive coordinators across the AFC North awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering what they are going to do when this kid walks into their stadium with something to prove. And the scariest part is they finally surrounded him with the talent to actually prove it. For years, the biggest criticism of the Cleveland Browns offense was simple. There was nobody to throw to and nobody to protect the guy throwing. The offensive line was a revolving door of injuries and underperformance. The receiving core was thin. The tight end room was an afterthought. You could have put the greatest quarterback in history behind that group, and he still would have spent most of his Sundays running for his life and throwing into triple coverage. Cleveland's front office looked at that situation this offseason and attacked it with real money and real draft capital. They signed Titus Howard to a 2-year deal worth $45 million. They locked up Zion Johnson on a 3-year contract worth $49.5 million. That is nearly $100 million invested in 2 offensive linemen. That is not a team going through the motions. That is a front office putting a wall in front of its young quarterback and daring pass rushers to try to get through it. Then they went after playmakers. Jerry Jeudy was already on the roster as a veteran presence with real route running ability. Harold Fannin Jr. had emerged as one of the most exciting young tight ends in football, showing legitimate mismatch potential against linebackers and safeties. But they were not done. In the draft, they spent a first-round pick on wide receiver Casey Conception out of Texas A&M, a big-bodied contested catch specialist who gives Shedeur a reliable target in the red zone and on third downs. Then in the second round, they grabbed Denzel Boston out of Washington, a receiver that multiple draft analysts had graded as a first-round talent who somehow slipped. Some reports suggest that Cleveland's war room erupted when Boston was still on the board at their second-round pick because they had him ranked significantly higher than where he fell. So add it all up. A rebuilt offensive line with nearly $100 million in new investment, a veteran receiver who can win on the outside, a young tight end who creates mismatches every time he lines up, 2 rookie weapons with legitimate upside and versatility, and a play caller in Monken who has spent his entire career designing systems that maximize exactly these kinds of skill sets. The offense that finished dead last in nearly every meaningful category a year ago does not exist anymore. It has been torn down to the foundation and rebuilt piece by piece with a clear vision and a specific quarterback in mind. This is a completely different machine. And the thing about new machines is that nobody knows exactly how fast they can go until you turn the key and let them run. And while Cleveland was quietly building something dangerous, the rest of the division was busy falling apart in ways nobody wants to talk about. Start with Baltimore because the Ravens are supposed to be the standard in this division. For 18 years, John Harbaugh was the head coach. He won a Super Bowl. He developed Lamar Jackson. He kept that franchise relevant through roster turnover after roster turnover. And after an 8-9 season that felt like a gut punch to the entire organization, he was gone. 18 years of stability and continuity wiped away in one offseason. In walks Jesse Minter as the new head coach, bringing a completely new staff and a completely new system. And Lamar Jackson, the most electric quarterback in football when he is right, is coming off a season plagued by injuries that kept him from performing at his MVP level. Rumors suggest that internally there are concerns about how quickly the new offense can come together. Reports claim that some veteran players are still adjusting to the schematic changes and that the learning curve is steeper than anyone expected. A new coach, a new system, and a superstar quarterback trying to recapture his best form is not a guaranteed disaster, but it is absolutely not a guaranteed success either. That is a team in transition whether they want to admit it or not. Then look at Cincinnati. The Bengals are everyone's trendy pick to win this division, and the entire argument rests on 4 words. A healthy Joe Burrow. That is it. That is the whole case. And the problem with that case is that healthy and Joe Burrow have been strangers for years. He missed most of last season with a toe injury after starting the year on fire. Before that, it was a wrist that required surgery. Before that, it was a knee that nearly ended his career. The Bengals are one of the most talented teams in football when their quarterback is standing upright, but their entire season is a coin flip that lands on whether his body cooperates for 17 games. And their defense ranked dead last in the NFL a year ago. Dead last against the run by a country mile. They spent aggressively to fix it, trading a first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence and adding pieces up front, but they also lost their best pass rusher to a division rival. Cincinnati is asking you to bet that everything goes right simultaneously. History says that is a losing bet more often than it is a winning one. And then Pittsburgh, the reigning division champions who won the North at 10-7 last year and then got bounced immediately in the wild card round. Their plan for 2026 is to run it back with Aaron Rodgers, who is now 42 years old, on what everyone around the league openly calls a farewell tour. They even spent a draft pick on a young quarterback.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
To take over when Rodgers is done, which tells you everything you need to know about how the organization views the timeline. A 42-year-old quarterback on a last ride is not a long-term threat. It is a ticking clock with a very visible expiration date. And when you line all three of those situations up next to what Cleveland is building, the picture changes dramatically. Here is where all of those individual threads come together into something that should genuinely concern every front office in this division. The oddsmakers themselves have pointed out that Cleveland's 2026 schedule is relatively soft. That is not a homer take from a Browns blog. That is the betting market looking at the matchups and saying this team has a realistic path to stacking wins early. A soft schedule is exactly the kind of runway a young team needs. You get a few early wins. The confidence builds. The locker room starts believing. And suddenly you are playing December football with momentum and swagger that a team picked to finish last is not supposed to have. If you have been rocking with Gridiron ground since the beginning, you know that these are the exact kinds of setups that produce the wildest seasons in NFL history. And if you are new here, this is your sign to subscribe right now, because when this season kicks off and these predictions start playing out in real time, you're going to want to be part of a community that saw it coming before everyone else did. Now, if you think a broken-down Browns team catching fire out of nowhere sounds impossible, let me remind you of something. Rewind to 2023. That Cleveland team lost its starting quarterback and turned to Joe Flacco. A journeyman pulled off his couch in the middle of the season. And what happened? They rode that magic carpet all the way to the number 2 seed in a playoff berth. Nobody predicted it. Nobody circled them on their schedule. They just quietly stacked wins while the entire league looked the other way, and by the time anyone noticed, it was too late. This franchise has already proven in recent memory that it can go from afterthought to playoff team in a single season when the right pieces click at the right time. And they did that with far less quarterback upside than they are holding right now. And there is one more element that does not show up in any box score but matters more than people realize: the spotlight. Shedeur Sanders is one of the most watched, most talked about, most followed players in the entire sport, and he has not even locked down a starting job yet. Every practice is a headline. Every throw is a highlight. Every decision about the quarterback competition generates national debate. That kind of attention breaks most young players. The pressure, the scrutiny, the cameras, the constant noise. It crushes people who are not built for it. But for the rare ones who thrive under it, that spotlight becomes a weapon. It means louder home games. It means a locker room that feeds off the energy instead of shrinking from it. It means a young team that gets forced to grow up fast because the whole world is watching every single snap. Everything we have seen from Shedeur so far suggests he was built for bright lights, not afraid of them. And when you combine that fearlessness with what Vegas is currently getting wrong about this team, the opportunity becomes impossible to ignore. Let me be honest with you, because I'm not here to sell fantasies. The betting market is not buying Cleveland yet. The Browns' win total is set at 5.5 games. The books have them as long shots to reach the playoffs, let alone win the division. Vegas looked at the Garrett trade, the quarterback uncertainty, and last year's record and priced this team as an afterthought. And if you are asking whether the safe money agrees with what I have been breaking down today, the answer is no. Not yet. But that is exactly where the danger lives. The most dangerous team in any sport is the one that everybody has already dismissed. Nobody game plans for the team they think is going to lose. Nobody circles Cleveland on their schedule and puts extra preparation into that week. Nobody spends film study time worrying about what the worst team in the division might do to them. And that collective shrug from the entire league is the single biggest advantage a young, hungry team can have. They get to sneak up on a division that refuses to take them seriously. Now think about what actually has to happen for this to explode. Shedeur Sanders wins the starting job, which national analysts already believe is inevitable. The rebuilt offensive line holds up and gives him time. Those young receivers develop faster than expected, which rookies in good systems frequently do. Jarred verse anchors a defense that plays with an edge and something to prove. And just one of those three-star quarterbacks across the division gets hurt or slows down. Look at that list and tell me which part sounds impossible. In a division this fragile, where every rival is one injury or one bad month away from a crisis, that is not a miracle scenario. That is practically the base case. And the human element pushes it even further, because Shedeur Sanders is not a normal second-year player walking into a normal situation. This is a young man who watched 32 teams reject him on the biggest stage in sports, who was told he could not play at this level, who was called a bust before he ever threw a professional pass. That kind of fuel does not expire. It does not fade. It compounds. Every doubter, every mock draft that left him out, every analyst who said he was not good enough, he carries all of it onto the field like armor. And now he has weapons. He has protection. He has a system built for him. And he has a division full of teams looking in every direction except his. 3 franchises in this division are betting on the past. Baltimore is betting on a legend bouncing back under a brand new coaching staff. Cincinnati is betting on a body that has broken down repeatedly. Pittsburgh is betting on a 42-year-old making one last ride before the sun sets permanently. And Cleveland, the team that everyone buried, is the only franchise in the AFC North betting entirely on the future. In a league that always belongs to the young and the hungry, that is not a weakness. That is the single most dangerous position any team can be in. So here is where it all lands. The Cleveland Browns have a decision to make in the next few weeks, and every sign points in one direction. A young quarterback with a chip on his shoulder the size of Ohio is about to take the keys to a rebuilt offense with new weapons, a fortified line, and a coaching staff that knows this division better than anyone. Across the hallway, the rest of the AFC North is held together by aging superstars, injury history, and coaching transitions that have not been tested under fire yet. The pieces are all on the board. The schedule is soft. The division is fragile. And the one team that nobody is watching is the one most built to take advantage of all of it. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Where do the Browns finish in the AFC North this season? First, second, third, or fourth? And do you believe Shedeur Sanders is the real deal, or is this all just off-season noise from a team that still has everything to prove? If this breakdown made you see Cleveland even a little bit differently, hit that like button and share this with the one friend who still thinks the Browns are a joke. And if you are not already part of the Gridiron Ground family, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because when this season kicks off and these dominoes start falling, you are going to want to be here for every single one of them. This is Gridiron Ground. We do not follow the narrative. We break it.
I agree. Earlier we talked about Patrick Mahomes coming back just off of last season. There are going to be some rust. Sean Watson has missed several seasons and tore his Achilles tendon twice. I think it'd be improbable.
He's 30 years old, and doesn't football always work out this way? When he's up for a contract, he reminds everybody how good he is. It always worked out like that, especially in Cleveland. Cleveland's going to say, where was this at when we needed it? Now we got to let you go because we wasted $230 million.
It's an interesting story to watch in Cleveland. They have a lot of quarterbacks, but do they actually have one? Mike T, let's go to the next one. Can Daniel Jones lead the Colts, who play the 4th easiest schedule,